Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Flower Patch. My name's Iris Smith, where I make beautiful artificial flower arrangements for all occasions. Welcome, guys. I hope you all had a wonderful day yesterday. Usually, I have my hair up because I don't like it in my face, but I've just been so busy this morning. Anyway, today we're going to do a 14-inch grapevine wreath with a bow. Now I've pulled out a few oddments or leftovers out my leftover bucket to try and use some of the things up. So we've got some of those for the greenery. I've got out some Boston fern. I had to think. Boston fern, which I've got out, and I want to incorporate those. Now I found these oddments in my oddments bucket, 3 pieces of the ivy, so I'm going to try and incorporate those. And I found some oddments of the maple as well in the sage green, and then I found these oddments of sage leaves as well. So there was just bundled like that, and I just put them in the leftover bucket. So we've got those, and I've also found these few little, I think 6 stems of ivy that I placed on picks myself, so I thought let's use those. And then I found these little purple thistles, 4 pieces what are on picks in my leftover bucket as well. The rest of the things I'm going to show are not in my leftover bucket. I've got some salvia. Because I'm doing it in pinks and purples or lilacs. So I've got out some salvia in the vintage pink that we'll use. I've got out some jasmine in the purple as well. That is absolutely beautiful. So I've got them in a purpley blue as well, and white. I've got out some of my cabbage roses in the vintage pink or the dusky pink as well. So we've got those. I've just grabbed 3 stems of them. I've also got these. I've got 3 stems out. The stems are exceptionally long. But I thought we could use those as spiky mums in them as well. So we've got those. And finally, I thought let's use some purple dahlias or lilac. So I've got out some lilac dahlias also. And they do have 1 flower and 1 bud on each stem. Aren't they pretty? So I thought let's use those. And I've done a bow only just out of 1 ribbon. I haven't mixed it with any more because this has got all the colours in that I need. The pinks, lilacs, and obviously white. So we've got this. It's a deluxe ribbon. Again from Kerry's Wreath for all occasions. And it is fused again on the back. So I've just turned them over at the ends. And we have that. It's just 5 loops of it. 4 each side and 1 in the centre. So that's what we're going to use to go with it as well. So if I just pop these all back, and then I'm going to bring the camera down, and we're going to get started, guys. So I'm not sure if I've got a feeling I may need some more foliage, as my background foliage. So I don't know really which one to use. Oh, let me think. I may get some. Do I get ficus out? I haven't used that for a while. I've got different sorts of ficus. Let's get this one. This one's my favourite out of the ficus. It's got some oddments in as well, or leftovers that I've just placed in. So I'll use this ficus with the veins, which I do like that one. So let me just bring the camera down, everybody. So we'll bring it down so you can see there. Right. I am late today again because I've been busy. So I've got pieces that I've cut off of a stem and probably placed back if I can remember. I've not used this ficus for a while, but probably placed back. Thinking, well, I can just use those again for another project. So let's have a look what we've got. Let's move the bigger ones out of the way first. So I'm just going to be sorting through some that I've got around the same size. I've got any larger ones. They're all around this size. So I may just use these ones. So let's just start by placing in some of our background foliage. And some people are, don't really like the ficus, but I always say, it's best to place at the back some of your cheaper foliage, what doesn't cost as much, like the ficus. It is quite cheap, and place that in as your background foliage instead of perhaps placing something in what's more expensive. It's good for that, for the background foliage. So I'm going to bring it down here as well. And I'm just going to get these and I'm going to go around. I'm going to bring some on the inner side. Because they're small pieces, it's just to fluff them up a little bit and give it a little bit extra volume. Oops, I can't get that one in. Let's put one here. So this is a good way to use all these oddments or leftovers up as well. So as you notice that for you new beginners, if you're doing a crescent shaped wreath, when you go from 6 o'clock up to 9 o'clock, put in your stems going up towards 9 o'clock. Now, if you're doing it coming from here from 12 o'clock to 9 o'clock, place your stems going down. Unless if you're doing a full wreath, then you can just follow the grain of the wreath. So once we've placed all these in, and then where 9 o'clock is, then I place one in and then I just bend it out towards 9 o'clock. I may put this one where it's just single and pop it in there. Just to fill in that little space there. So that's our ficus placed in. So all these other little oddments I'll save. And we can place those on another project. do that with those. Then I'm going to use these few pieces of maple, and I'm going to get those in as well. These few oddments. Again, just to use them up so I don't have to put them back in my bucket and they can get used. And with them being a broader leaf as well, they will cover quite a few gaps. I'm going to place one here because it's quite long, that one, so we'll have that one going down there. And these two have only got single, well, I'll say single, one's got a single leaf and the other's got a double. So I'll bring the double up here, and then this single one I'll bring coming in towards the center. Don't, you know, try not to forget to add things into the center so it doesn't look too bare in the center. Just incorporate something what you're using in there as well. Now I've got the ivy, I've got one long one and two smaller ones. So I may just cut this one in half. Around there. And then just use these in as well. You can use variegated ivy. It doesn't have to just be the plain green. And then we'll add the other one at the bottom. And then the two small pieces that I've got, wherever the other one is, I'll bring here. And just weave them within all the others, mix them in. So again, as you can see, that's used quite a lot. I do have the Boston fern, so we'll add some of that in also. I do like to see fern in arrangements. I think it gives that movement. I find it very pretty.
Hello.
Oh, hello. Oh, you made me jump.
Right.
Yeah, have you had a good day at work?
Oh. Oh, all right.
Oh, good. So I'm going to place this one in here. And I'm going to bring another one in the center again. Just so what I'm using around the outer side, I'm using on the inside as well. So it's all, you know, flows lovely. And then again, as I'm going down from here down, I'm placing my stems going up towards 9 o'clock. So that's our Boston fern. So let me just place the band back around those. And that's those. Right, I'm going to start with the lovely jasmine. And I'm going to bring one up here. So I'm going to cut the stem around here. I don't want it that long. I'm not going to save that because it's got a lot of lumps on, and you know where the like new growth on a bark would be, and it's quite thick. And the leaves, I'm going to try and turn them around so they're facing upwards. And with these having foliage on as well, and it's a solid leaf, they will help cover any gaps as well on your wreath. And then I'll bring this one to the bottom and have that coming down here. The same thing as well. We'll turn the leaves around. If you can't turn them around that they're glued on too tight, then just pull them off and then stick them back on by placing a bit of glue on the end and pop them back on. So I'm going to be just bringing some of the foliage through, so it's mixing in with others. Just so it doesn't look like I'm flattening the foliage behind. So by just incorporating them and bringing them through, will make it look like they're all growing within each other. Now I've got another one. I don't think I'm going to bring, because I've got the dahlias, so I don't think I'm going to bring that one in. And plus I'm going to have the bow in as well, which is going to be sat here. So I may pop our bow in first. So I'm just going to get the floral wire and go through the wreath. And then get the other one. I'm using a weaving needle for all you new beginners. They're only plastic. You can get them off Amazon. It's just to help thread the wire through without having to struggle. Sometimes it's a bit harder to get the wire through on some wreaths. So I find this much easier. So I'm going to twist at the back. I've just seen a little bit of a stem, if I can get it. I don't think I can get it. It's too fun. Excuse me. So I'm going to bend it back inside the stem. Is that one? Oh, it's not wood. I can't say it's the same colour. Oh, no, it's wood. So twist the wire. Cut so much of it off, and then use some flat nose pliers, bend it back inside the wreath, because when it's on a door you don't want the sharp ends scratching anybody's door. like so. Now, did I see? Some of the stems look like proper twigs, so I can't make out if it's part of the wreath or not. So that's our bow. Placed in. I don't know what I'm going to do with the tail ends. I tend to leave them long, and if I want them shortening, I will cut them down, because I do tend to like long tail ends. But even if I do cut them down, because I do like to rather have longer tail ends to start with, because then if I do need to cut them down, at least I know I can cut them down to the size I want and have some left. And then the bits that may be left, I could use as just tail ends at the bottom. So I'm going to use these spiky mums. I can get it off the rubber band. Now these have got 3 stems, and on each stem they've got a lot of foliage and just one of the spiky mums. So I'm going to cut these down. I may just use 3 with them having a lot of foliage on. Now I'll save this, what was on the main stem, use that. So if you need anything, any picks, or if you have bought some flowers and they don't have stems, they're just the heads, you could maybe use these for using to put on them. So I'm going to just gently fluff out the leaves. They are quite compact where they've been in the bucket. So I'm just going to open them up, and I'm just rubbing my hand down them softly. I'm not going too hard, just so they open up. So let's see. We'll place one under here. Like so. We'll get another one. Do the same with that. Flip out the leaves. I do have a steamer, so I could easily steam them. And then I'm going to bring one coming out from the side here. And if you think you haven't got much of a stem and there's leaves at the right at the bottom like this, and you think you want a longer stem, then just pull off those bottom leaves, and then you've got a longer stem. I always say, you know, oops, I've just pulled that head off. The maximum, well, the minimum length I personally like, it's each to their own, is around 1.5 inch of a stem, where I know it will go into the wreath. So I'm not going to use any more of those. I don't need any more. In fact, I'm going to cut the stems down a little bit, because they're too long for my bucket. So that was those. Now I'm trying to make my mind up. I think I'll bring the pink in, because I'm going to bring the salvia on the outer side, and then bring the purple dahlias on the outside as well. So let's just grab these. Now, do I leave them all as a cluster on the inside? I think I'm going to do that, guys. Usually I cut them down so I've got more control. But I think that cluster does look really pretty. So I'm going to bring the cluster here. I may need to cut it down a little bit more. And then just, again, mix them up, the foliage. Let's turn that one around. So you've got like a cluster of 3. I'm going to do the same with this one. I'm going to just stand up a moment so I can see above it. Then bring the other cluster of 3 down here. Turn some of the leaves around. You don't have to turn the leaves around if you prefer to see more of the natural look. I do it sometimes and sometimes I don't. But if you prefer to see some of the more natural look like it would be if it was in your garden, where some leaves are facing different directions, then, you know, that's okay as well. Now, do I cut this one up? I may cut this one up. So I'm going to cut that off. Trim the bud off as well. And then cut this one. I'm going to save the leaves and I'm going to put picks on because I do like the leaves on those. So I've got a little bud here. I'm going to pop in with the ribbon or the bow. And just sit that there. Just get that glue string. And then I'm going to bring one here and one there of the flowers as because they're open. And don't be afraid that if some of your floral looks lower down or more as depth than others, that's okay, because some, you know, flowers do grow at different stages. And I'm going to pop one coming just out from the side here. So we've done that. So I'm going to get the salvia. The salvia very much looks like Veronica, so if you can't get salvia, then don't, you know, see if you can get Veronica. But if you haven't got either, don't worry, use lavender, with it being the similar shape. That would be quite nice. So I'm just popping these around the edge for a bit of pink around the edge, because we've got the pink in the center, so I'm wanting some pink around the edge so it flows. I think lilac and pinks look beautiful, really pretty together. And I've got one more that I'll bring down here. As well. So that's our salvia in also. I will straighten the bow. Right, so we've now, let me just grab these two pieces of leaf from the cabbage roses, place them on picks so they get used up. There's sometimes I do have foliage on floral and I don't really care for the foliage. I don't think it's as nice as I'd like it to be. The flowers are lovely, but sometimes the foliage isn't as good. So I'm going to place these on either end. With me only having two, I'll bring those on the ends. Like so. So now we've got our dahlias. These are pretty. I have dahlias in like a champagne, white, peach, burgundy, red, purple, pink, I think, as well. So I'm going to cut these. And I want to add in the dahlias. So I've got as I say this, I place in two heads, one there, and then I've got the buds that I can place. I may shorten those and place those on the end, but make sure I can see the bud and put those there. So let's get these ones in first. I may have to cut that stem a little shorter. It's a little bit too long. One. And then the other one. Again, just keep bringing up your foliage to go in between your floral. And then the buds, I think I'm going to cut those to about maybe here. I'll save the leaves on those as well and add those in. So we're going to place in on the inside purple. So again, we've not just got the purple jasmine, we're bringing in another flower with around the inside. And then the leaves, I'm just going to bend that way and add in this one as well on the opposite side. Sorry about my egg. So I'm not going to use those dahlias. I'll keep them as that, because the bow is more, I'd say, you tend to notice the purple more than anything in the bow, than the pink. So hence the reason I didn't want to put a lot of purple flowers also around the centre, but just enough. And then I've got these. There's only 4, so I'm going to, do I bring them? I'm going to bring them in. Just like one around here as well. Just add a bit of different texture. I think that one needs to go in a little bit more. And I'll bring one here. Add one there. And then I'll bring another one here also. So then I'd use those bits up. I think I could do with some little bit of a colour there. Just around here where this pink is. What shall I use? I wonder what I may have. Now then. I mean, I do have, obviously, it's just greenery again, so there's not much really what I need to add in for the greenery, because the leaf choice that I've chosen is quite wide. Let me have a look. So just bear with me a moment, guys. I'm just trying to look what I could add. I'm wondering, do I add in a little bit of white? Yeah, I think they would be pretty. So I'm going to cut that down a little bit. I'm going to and these have got like a stilby on. Let me just pull it out again, guys. They've got a stilby, they've got a white ruscus and a bit of heather. Just trying to a bit loose. It's just moving around too much, so that's telling me it's not really caught on anything to keep it firmly in. So we'll try again. Let's get those bits of glue off of that. Just lift up some of your foliage. There we go. And then your spot where you have space to place I think I'm going to cut these tail ends. I'm going to bring another one in as well. And I think I'm going to pop some around the outside also. Because I can see here, there's a lot of green here. There's not really no colour on the outside here. So just by adding that little bit of a colour on the outside, will then balance in with the greenery so it doesn't look too bare or just too bold with the green. So I'm going to work my way around here. Just add some in. And I'm going to place one around here also. And again, it's a similar thing around here where it's a little bit too much green by itself. Now that went in really loosely. Then I'm going to bring some on the end. I've got 4 left, so I'll bring 2 on the ends. In here. Got glue on there. And there. Then I may bring one here as well on either end. Where the jasmine is. Just turn and place one in here also. So we've got them there. So that is, I mean, again, I do have, I may just put a few, or do I really need them? Let's just have a look with one. I don't really think I need them, but now I've just placed that one in. I'm going to have to place another one in at the other end for to balance it out. Right, I'm going to cut these and then I'll see if I need any more colour around the inside. So all I'm going to do is just cut across, turn the ends over, or dovetail or diagonal cut, whichever you prefer. And just have those sitting there. Now I've got these, I could bring those one here and maybe one up there. So what I'm going to do excuse me, is just pinch the top get a floral wire, go round one way, then the other way, then at the back, just twist them like you did your bow on the back. Twist both of the wires together. And I'm going to use that, the actual wire as a stem. And I'm just going to pop it in around here. So you've got a little bit of colour there as well. And I'm going to do the same with this one. Just pinch it together. You don't need more than, as long as you've got about half a centimetre just for the wire to attach to. And then twist. And then the wire will be the stem. Yeah, then we'll place that one there. So I haven't wasted any. So we've got that. So I feel I need just something of colour on the inside because everything's on top and around this side. So I feel that we could place in just probably a little bit of a pink down here. I'm wondering if I've got something maybe small. Let's have a look. I'm going to try and keep within the pink, the colour of the pink that we are using, the vintage, or like the, vintage pink. I had to think then, guys. My mind's going terrible. So I don't want nothing that's really big. I'm looking for something just with a tiny little bit of colour. I don't want a big broad leaf of any sort. I'm wondering, do I use what we got there? You know what? I've got these are oddments. I spotted them. Some more thistle. And just bring those in. These are now these are my scraps on these. I saw them this morning. I've got one full bunch, but I've got two here. I could just bring those in and pop those in so they're on the inside and they're going to have a bit of the pink colour in as well. And then just manipulate it so it bends on the inside. And do the same down at the bottom. So if I just turn, again, it's another way of getting, by going in your bucket of scraps, grab them out if they're going to go with the colour choice that you're doing, and bring them in. I think I could do with one in the centre. So we're going to bring one coming in from here. So we'll lift up that loop. I can just bring that in there. And then I've got one piece left. I may bring that actually on the opposite side. because I don't need it in the centre. Instead of having just one piece of scrap, I'd suggest just adding it in and bring that there. See, they've got one what's really right at the bottom. There's no stem, so I'm going to pull that off. I'm going to cut the little prong off here, so it's tidied it up and it's given me more. It make it easier for me to place into the wreath. Let's just do it from behind. Let's see, I'm trying to see where I can place it. So just bear with me a mo, guys. And just add that in there. And again, I've got one piece here that I've had to cut off. So I've just placed that on a pick. And I can see a little bit of gap here. Well, not gap, a bit of too much green. So I'm going to pop it in there. And just add a bit of colour in with the greenery. So, I'm not going to add anything else. I think that looks pretty as it is. Let's just bring some of these up as well, so they look like they're growing through the ribbon or the bow. And just bring up the odd piece of foliage also through, so that looks like it's incorporated in with the bow. That's if you like it like that. I like to see it like that, but if you prefer the bow to just be more on show, then leave your bow and attach it near to the end. So let me just get my easel, and I'm going to pop here. Isn't that pretty colours? Vintage pink and lilac. So let's just check if there's any what's come out of the back. Oh, I've missed one here. Look, it's not even gone into the wreath. So I'm going to pop it in so it doesn't come out, if I can. It's got the glue further up the stem, but the bottom piece has just not gone in. No, I can't get that one. There we go. And then this one here, I'm going to chop that one. So just check as well before, you know, you send it or give it to somebody as that there's no stems sticking out. Now I try to place the stems under the grapevine, so the grapevine then covers it, so it's not on show, so you don't see any green from the stems. So let me just place that on. Oh, that's pretty. Right, so I'll bring in up the camera. Let's just get rid of all of mess. Well, that's very spring looking. It's pretty. So there is, let me just get that glue string, our lovely lilac and pink spring or even summer wreath with the lovely ribbon in, and we've used things like our fern, our salvia, our maples, some ivy. These are stilbit and heather and white ruscus, and then our spiky mums, then our cabbage roses, and our really pretty purple dahlias, some little thistle in purple and in the pink, and then our lovely jasmine here as well. And our, did I say ficus? I can't remember if I said it, but ficus also. And again, go in your oddments bucket, your scraps bucket, and dig out, even if it's little pieces. You could use those little pieces of foliage for your filler foliage to fill in any gaps. And even if you have just 4 of something instead of an odd number like 5, don't worry, guys. You know, I always say, if you're doing using things, your scraps or oddments, then there's nothing, you know, you have to work with what you've got. I've just felt something here. Oh, it's a twig. And you just have to work with what you've got. Like these thistles, I only had 4. I can easily place them in so they look balanced. So don't worry over that. There's a lot of people who work in even numbers. You know, I much prefer the odd numbers because it tends to make it look more balanced than just having 4 of something. You look at 4, if you had 4 big roses and you think, another one could look nice in there. Instead of just going here, here, here and here, you'd think, what about here? So you'd place a 5th one in. But again, if you've got what you've got, you work with what you've got if you're using your oddments. So I hope you enjoyed that. And if you've got any, you know, dahlias, if you don't have dahlias, you know, don't worry. If you've got carnations, you want to use those, or hydrangeas or peonies or even roses, you know, use those instead. And then they're cabbage roses. If you don't have the cabbage roses, just use normal roses. You know, they're just as pretty. And like I said, with the salvia, you don't have that, or veronica, then use, you know, lavender, because it's the same shape where it's pointed. So the lavender would look really pretty too. And if you don't have these spiky mums, again, don't worry, add in some thistle instead of those. But I always do believe, you know, well, not believe, I always do say, add in your cheaper foliage like the ficus at the back, because you're not going to really see it once everything's in. So add that at the back, which that will then give the support, and also you're creating your line and how big you actually, or you know, big you want your wreath by however long you place in the foliage at the beginning. That's the first foliage, like I placed in the ficus. You can have them longer, but you carry on that length coming all the way around, and then that then is your boundary, what you've created, your outline of the size of your wreath. And then, you know, again, like I say, just place in the cheaper one, because I think if you placed in more expensive foliage, you'd want to see it, especially if it's, you know, better quality, you'd want to see it. So with the ficus being the cheaper foliage, then use it at the back as your background foliage. And then I brought in some ferns, some Boston ferns. You don't have to have Boston ferns, you can just, any fern will do. They're all lovely. And again, if you don't have anything like this, what I've got here, again, don't worry about it. Just add in, you know, you could add in some twiggy bits. You could add in some thyme, rosemary, things like that. Or if you wanted to add in some more, or harvest, you can get it in whites and greens. It's a harvest spray, and you could use that as well, because that's very much similar to these. Or I'm trying to think. trying to think. Again, you could add in some more lavender. White lavender, because I've got white in here. Just add in white lavender instead. So whatever, it's usually whatever you've got in your scraps box. You can always create something beautiful, guys, because it's only what you've used before. It's just that they're smaller in stem and you haven't got as many. So you could create a smaller arrangement and use what you've got for that, or create a bigger arrangement and have more of your oddments placed in. But either way, it's still a good thing to use up your scraps without having to cut or new stems down or anything like that. So I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you like the spring summer wreath and you like the colours. If you don't do it in this colour, whatever colours you've got or you want to create, you know, it will always look pretty. And always as well, use bigger flower heads. Like I've got, these are the bigger ones, then they're more of a medium size. Oops, I've got my hair in my face. And then you've got these as well, which they go down to a small size. But then I've added in the small buds. So I like to add in things where you've got the bigger heads, flower heads, then a medium size and a smaller head. So you've got all different size flower heads, so they all flow together beautifully and balance out perfect. So again, I hope you enjoyed that, guys, and I hope you give it a go in whatever delicious colour you like. I'm sure it will always look so pretty. So have a wonderful day. It's Thursday, isn't it? I won't be here tomorrow. I will be back next week. So have a wonderful weekend, guys, and good health. And please subscribe, share and like. Share to your friends, family, colleagues, whomever. Bring them along, even if it's just to watch and they're not a creative person themselves, but it's just something to watch so they can see the start to the end of how it's done. Or bring somebody who wants to do floral design and floral arrangements, bring them along, and then it might, then they've got an idea on what to do, and it'll probably inspire them to give it a go themselves, which is fabulous. So have a wonderful day, have a wonderful weekend. God bless, guys, and again, thank you so much for your wonderful, wonderful comments. I'm so blessed and I'm so honoured that I've got you wonderful people who are, taking your time out to message me, and also to taking your time, precious time, when you could be doing something of your own or meeting with family, but taking your precious time up to watch my videos. It really, really does mean a lot. So thank you, guys. So have a wonderful weekend. Take care. Good health, guys, and stay safe wherever you are. And I love you all. Bye for now. Bye-bye. Right, let's zoom in on our wreath. Let's get closer. Now, there's the ribbon. Isn't that pretty? It's got peonies on. I think there may be cosmos as well. Some poppies. I've got hydrangeas there as well. And again, it's fused on the back. Fused means it's two different ribbons sewn together. This one on the top and then that one on the back. Or then just stitched together. Then we've got our lovely cabbage roses. Our beautiful dahlias. Aren't they pretty? And then we've got our little pink thistles here. And some here as well. And then we've got our spiky mums and our stunning jasmine. Isn't that pretty? And then we've got our ficus here at the back with our ivy, and then our lovely salvias. And then these are the mixed bunch where you've got the heather, the astilbe and some white ruscus in also. Oh, and then we've got our fern here and our maple here as well. I can't remember what else, guys. Oh, and we added just a couple pieces, didn't we? Where are they? Oh, here, of our sage leaves also. So I hope you enjoyed that, guys. Give it a go. Create something for spring and summer so you can have it out for 2 seasons and have fun. So have a wonderful weekend, guys. I love you all. Take care. Bye for now. Bye-bye.